I need to check if you have understood the chapter 4 or not. So let's begin. I'm ready. The house next door we have just studied with you. Let's see the questions. The first one. It is written like 11 because in the worksheet it is like that. Don't mix it. How did Mr. Large lose his money? In this chapter we learned he, tell me, lost most of his money. How? Helping a friend. Helping a friend. And the second one. Where did Meg and Joe work? What did they do? In this chapter we learned where they worked. Okay, let's see. Meg got a job teaching 4 small children at Mrs. King's house. Mrs. King's house. Joe worked for Aunt March. So she, helped Aunt March, the old lady, who complained a lot. 13th one. What did Beth and Emmy do? Please tell me, who was good at drawing pictures and who was into music? Let's see. Beth studied by herself because she was so shy. Do you remember? And helped Hannah to keep the home tidy. What about Emmy? Emmy drew the most beautiful pictures. And also we know that Beth was into music. We know this. What did Meg and Emmy complain about? Here, Meg complained about being poor, and Emmy complained about wearing her cousin's old clothes because the family was poor and they couldn't afford to buy new ones. Who visited Laurie at home? What did she bring for him? Okay. It was Joe. That's great. Joe visited Laurie at home. She brought Meg's cake and Beth's 3 small cats. After seeing this, Laurie said that, how kind you are. 17th one. What did they talk about? Where did he show her? They talked about lots of things. Who remembers? Let's see. Okay, they talked about her family. Also, Laurie knew lots of things about her family because some nights they forgot to close the curtains and he could see them. Also, they talked about their hopes and fears, books. After talking about books, he showed her the library. And 18th one, who came to Laurie's house? What did they do? They heard a bell. They supposed that Mr. Lawrence came. But at first, who came? The doctor came to examine Laurie because he had a cold before. Who played the piano? Let's see. Laurie. Laurie played the piano. Why didn't Mr. Lawrence want him to play? Because he said that I prefer my grandson to be interested in more important issues, he said. Because he was afraid Laurie could be a musician in the future like his mom. Because Mr. Lawrence didn't like Laurie's mom. We know this. Who were Laurie's parents? What happened to them? Okay. In this chapter we learned Mrs. March told us his mother was an Italian lady. He was a musician. They died when Laurie was a child. Okay. And who said these sentences? Let's see. It is so nice to go to parties and drive home in carriages. At the end of chapter 3, they went to parties and they returned home in carriages, and Meg said it. So we must do our work with a smile. Meg complained about lots of things, but someone said, let's do our work with a smile as our mother does. Who? Joe. Joe said this. Will you come, please? a sad boy, a shy boy. So, Lori. Okay. I can talk all day. Joe loves talking. I'm not afraid of anything. Joe sat in the library. Do you remember? But I'm not as handsome as your grandfather. Someone heard this sentence and said it again. Mr. Lawrence. I want to hear it so I can tell Beth. Joe. Lori played music, played the piano. So Joe said this sentence. I want him to do well in more important things. A serious man, Mr. Lawrence. His grandfather is afraid he will want to be a musician like his mother. Who said this? Mrs. March. At the end of this chapter, Mrs. March gave us lots of information about the parents of Lori. Sending him to college will just make him unhappy. Joe said this. Okay, the last part, we have some important vocabularies like dull, afford, accept, occasionally, lifeless, handful, and come over. Please be careful with it. It is not accept. It is accept. Be careful. Here, to visit people or a place. Which one is this? To visit people or a place. Okay, come over. Joe came over him. Do you remember? It is come over, visit. As much or as many of something as you can hold in one hand. So it is handful. It is easy because here is handful. A child's toy that looks like a small person or a baby. Generally, girls love playing with it. Yeah, doll. That's great. Not including somebody or something. Not including somebody or something. It is except. It is except. That or appearing to be that. That house looked lifeless. Looked, that. To have enough money or time to be able to do something. The family couldn't afford to buy new things. They couldn't have enough money to do it, to buy it. Happening from time to time. Okay, last word, occasionally. That's occasionally. Okay, my friends, we have finished this part. Again, I hope you understood. That's great. See you next chapter.